I'm recording it right now. Um, it's a good thing you mentioned that. Otherwise, we wouldn't have done that. All right, I am recording. Let me make sure that. Yep, I'm recording. And I am now going to share my part of my screen. And you should be seeing leasing trends in the year of COVID-19. Cook County, November 17th, 2020. If you don't see that, you might want to indicate that to me. But what I'm going to do is go through a slide set. I also put that slide set in our chat box, Leasing Trends Cook County PDF, so you can see where I'm going here. I would, and again, if you got questions as we're going through, put them in the chat box or speak up as well. I mean, you're going to have to unmute yourself, but we might as well handle those as we go through. So I am going to start here. And again, you got any questions, let me know. I thought I would do three things here. First off, give you an income outlook. The reason why I do that is because that's largely what determines whether cash rents are going to go up or down. What we believe incomes are going to do will largely influence what cash rents look like. So then I'm going to give the income outlook, which will then tell you what I think cash rents are going to do. And then finally, we'll talk about a little bit about farmland price outlook as well. Most people that rent farmland also own farmland, so they're probably also interested in what we see happening to farmland prices. So that's the outline. Again, as we're going through that, stop me at any time. So I'm again going to start with income outlook, and here I'm going to tell you what's happened to yields and prices, and then talk a little bit about government aid that has been flowing into the agricultural sector this year. Yield wise, 2020 is going to be a pretty good year. USDA, U.S. Department of Agriculture, is projecting our yield here at 195 bushels per acre. That is up from last year, but last year wasn't a very good year. But 195 is better than our trend yield, which is 191. The trend yield sort of is what we would expect at the beginning of the year. Given just normal sorts of growing season, it's based on what's happened in the past 20 years is how we calculate that trend. As you can see, we're above that trend, 195, so we're slightly above that trend. Above trend yields would mean that that's obviously good for incomes in 2020. That 195 trend yield is 4 bushels above trend. That compares to last year's yield, which was 8 bushels below trend. Last year, 2019, was the year when we had all the wet weather, and that particularly in northern Illinois and southern Illinois, it's some pretty bad adverse outcomes. And then before that, we went through many years of very good yield. So 2020 is a good yield again, slightly above trend overall in this state. So that's corn. Other major crop is soybeans. And right now, USDA, and this was from their November forecast, is projecting a 58 bushel yield for the state. That again is above trend, so 56 bushels. So overall, we're expecting yields to be higher than trend yields, 2 bushels higher. That compares to last year, 1 bushel below. But again, you can see we've gotten used to some pretty above trend yields here in recent years. 2012 was 6 bushels below, but since then we've been above trend in most years. Again, what we're looking, and this is going to vary by part of the state, but overall we're looking at yields that are a bit better than we would expect. They have actually come down from when USDA was projecting earlier in the year, but still, nevertheless, pretty good yields. So that's on the yield side. And one of the things that we've really seen happen is the outlook really changed from August till now. If you had talked to me in August, I would have given you a very different outlook. And a couple things happened. One was really some hot, dry weather in August, which took off a lot of the yields. You can see here we had some, particularly Iowa, had some pretty low yields or hot weather. And we also had the Draco storm go through Iowa and parts of northern Illinois as well. But that really took off yields from Iowa. Just to give you a feel for that, the corn yield in Iowa was projected at 202 bushels per acre in August. In November, that's fallen to 184 bushels. So between August and now, USDA is projecting essentially 18 bushels lower yield in Iowa. That has lowered corn yield in the U.S. and they've lowered yields all over, but we went from an expectation of 181 down to 175. That has really taken off the supply that exists in the United States. Same thing with soybean yields. Soybean yield in Iowa went from 58 to 54, 4 bushel decline. Soybean yield in the U.S. went from 53 to 50. USDA projects 2020, so 2020 corn prices are what farmers are receiving now and through 2021. And we went from a projection of $3.10 up to $4. That's a big move. A lot of that's that dry weather. And the other thing that has really happened is that export demand, primarily from China for soybeans and corn, but soybeans and corn have been strong. And that and combined with this dry weather and Draco storm has really pushed those prices up from 310 to 4. Soybeans 835 to now an estimate of 1040. All right, so that's a huge move, and it has really changed the outlook for 2020 incomes. To give you a little bit more feel for what that looks like, here is these are corn prices. I chose the futures contract for December and November for corn. We were up here running around 4 to 420, and then COVID-19 control measures hit in March. That caused both corn and soybean prices to fall dramatically. All right. At this point, we were expecting a very poor year. And a lot of the reason why that fell was because of all the problems with livestock processing plants. We weren't sure what export demand would look like, but corn was hit particularly hard because of ethanol. About 40 to 50% of corn is made into ethanol, and that demand, no one's driving. So that really pushed those prices down. They have since rebounded, but we went from expectations of pretty low incomes, low prices to much higher prices. And that's going to change our outlook as well. So just from summer, so we've been on a roller coaster. Before March, we were expecting sort of a goodish year. Then we had COVID-19 hit, and we were looking at poorer situation, and now we're sort of back up to almost. Soybeans are actually better than pre-COVID. Corn is a bit worse. So that's where we're at price-wise. Yield-wise, we're having a pretty good year, and that will likely cause crop revenue to be pretty good. If you have any questions, I'm going to move on to government aid, but the questions or comments now. If you have any, put them in the chat box or say what you have, what you're thinking here. Interrupt me at any time. All right. So, along with prices coming back, yields not being too bad, we had a lot of federal aid this year. We had federal aid in the form of WHIP, which is actually related to last year's crop. Many farmers took advantage of the Payment Protection Program, which isn't a ag program, but it was available for all businesses, and many farmers took advantage of that, as well as EIDL, Economic Injury Disaster Loan Program. Farmers began taking advantage of that in April and May, and we also had additional CFAP payments on the 2020 crop. All those things combined with the better than we expected prices and still good yields to have some, we're going to have some reasonably good incomes across many farms this year. And that's related to the 2020 crop. I am going to now give you a feel for that. And let me just go through that. Let me tell you what I have here. This is corn and soybeans, Central Illinois. This here is 2019, and we had a farmer return after paying cash rent of $20 last year for corn and $24 for soybeans. If we had a corn soybean rotation last year, we had a $23 return with federal aid. If we didn't have federal aid in the form of MFP and CFAP last year, we would have had a minus 82. Again, last year we had MFPs and Corona's Food Assistance Program payments. Now I'm going to take you through 2020. So this is Central Illinois. We built in some pretty good yields, 230 and 72 for soybeans, and we built in prices of 355 and 930. Those prices just keep going up, so maybe we should be higher on the prices here, but still, if anything, I would be going now a bit higher on these prices, probably a little bit lower on the yields, and probably coming out about where we're at. We'll have some ARC and PLC payments likely, and we will have some CFAP program payments for the 2020 crop. Those have been announced already. There are $48 for corn, $17 for soybeans. They're actually rates on the yield per acre, and we just estimated those. But you can see those two come up with, those are really going to help incomes in 2020. Our non-land cost came down from last year, and they came down primarily because we came off with drier yields. So we had a lot less drying costs this year, and fertilizer prices have come down. Overall, we're looking at a farmer return of $39 for corn, $73 for soybeans, and that causes us to have a return of $56, which will be higher than last year. But again, those ad hoc federal programs are very important. We don't know what next year looks like, right? So that's the concern. Farmers are going to be okay. Most farmers, I don't want to, the income this year is probably going to be okay with the higher prices. It's 2021 where we begin to get concerned about again. Now, I'm going to now just go ahead to 2021 and take you through it. I'm going to show you two budgets. One, what we would call baseline, which is 217 bushels per acre corn, 68 bushels per acre for soybeans. This is what we would expect. That's our trend yield. No ad hoc current disaster assistance and current fall bids. Then we're going to do an optimistic one, which is above trend yields, no lowering of prices, and $50 of ad hoc federal disaster payments. So we're saying that next year we get something similar to what we did this year. Baseline. If we do the baseline, you saw what we saw for 2020. Here's what 2021 looks like. We would get at 217 bushels, 360 price. And right now we're getting pretty high prices for 2020. We go out some, prices expectations come down. Here's for soybeans, 940 price. That's still pretty good, but you can see minus 30, 36, again, 217 bushel yield, 68 bushels. That's $3. So that's no ad hoc federal payments. So we would be looking at lower returns next year. So next year, again, that's next year. And those are what expectations would look like. Let me do that. So that's the baseline. Trend yields, no additional ad hoc federal assistance. Let's do the case where we're going to be optimistic. We're going to get great yields again, just like we did, we're expecting this year, just like we had in 2018. Price doesn't come down, and we get some CFAP payments in both cases. And in that case, we have a better year, good year. So a lot, obviously 2021 depends on yields, prices, and ad hoc federal payments. But again, if you're looking back, we've had a string of years here with federal payments that have been pretty key to our income situation. So we're going to likely have a pretty good year this year, better than 2019, and we always looking forward to 2020. And a lot of answers, a lot of things depend. So that's the income outlook. And again, we're better than we were in May, June, July. So that's where we're at. Questions or comments before I go into my cash rent outlook? All right, I'm going to make you participate with me a little bit. All right, I'm going to ask you. I got a poll up there. Can you see the poll? All right, this is answer my poll here. Just put in your number, and then I'm going to give you. So you're going to tell me what I'm going to tell you. So what do you think? So what do you think cash rents are going to do in 2021? Do you think they're going to go up some, stay the same, go up a lot? And obviously there's no precision in any of those numbers. So we got 4 people voted. I don't even know how many people we got here. All right, we got 6 people voting, which I believe is about all of you. I'm going to show you the results. You'll like them. So 3 think going down some, 3 think going up some. So 50-50. So there you are. 50% think you're going up, 50% think you're going down. And I would agree with you. I think cash rents are going to be pretty much stay the same going into 2021. Whether that we're going to have some reasonably good income years. So in 2020, so that would suggest to me that we're probably going to see cash rents stay roughly the same going into 2021. So let me just give you some ideas here. Here is what we've seen operator and land returns do relative to cash rent over time. And you can see here, this is 2010, 2011, 2012, 2013. These were really good years, and we saw cash rents go up. And since 2013, we've seen cash rents, and operator and land return is roughly what we have left to pay both the farmer and the cash rent. Marginal. Then 18, we had those ad hoc federal payments. Those were MFPs. 2019, we got a lot of payments. Again, that helped a lot. If we hadn't had those payments, we would have seen incomes well below cash rents. And 2020, and again, preliminary, that $50 of MFPs is helping a lot. If we go to 2021, without another round of MFPs, we'll be below. Who knows? If you know what the Congress is going to do next year, you know more than I do. But so that's sort of the outlook. Again, when we look at it, we probably think that cash rents are going to remain roughly the same moving into 2021. We have seen cash rents across the Midwest just be steady since roughly 2014. Come down a bit, 2015. Illinois, and this is average cash rents in Illinois. So in 2020, this is a USDA number for the entire state. 222 in Illinois, Iowa a little bit higher at 230, Indiana 194. So, and again, since 2016, 2015, right in there, just really steady. Saw those rents go up a lot from 2006 to 2014. That was our ethanol build, higher prices, and then come down and remain relatively steady. All right, that is for the state of Illinois. If we look, and again, rents have been really steady since 2016. If we look at rents across the state, here's the map, and this is 2020. This is average cash rents by county. USDA has reported those. So you can pick out your county and sort of see what the average cash rent is. So DeKalb County here has $262 per acre. This would be Kane County, $237 per acre. You can see the county cash rents. Again, this handout is in the chat box. I will send it to Deb as well, and she can forward it on to you as well. We haven't seen those change a lot from year to year to year. If you're looking at those average cash rents in a county and you're saying mine differ a lot, either higher or lower, yeah, they can. Again, we're just giving you averages here to give you a feel for where those cash rents are by county. And there, a lot of that depends on productivity in a county. So if we're looking at a cash rent in a county, it could vary a lot just because of land productivity. But that'll give you a feel for what cash rents look like in 2020. Again, we would be saying probably stable. Some people will go up, some people will go down. We asked the farm managers and rural appraisers what they saw happening to cash rents. And this is professionally managed farmland. We asked this in August, by the way. So August was when we did the survey. I suspect we would get a little bit different results now because things have just changed. But they said for excellent quality land, which would have some yield over, their expected yield on this excellent quality land would be over 200 bushels per acre. Was 305. Actual 2020, they expected it to come down to 97 in 2021. Overall, they were expecting prices or cash rents to come down in 2021. Again, slightly. Again, the prices have really increased since we took that survey back in August. But anyway, they expected those rents to come down a bit. This is for professionally managed farmland. Overall, professionally managed farmland tend to have, in recent years, higher cash rents than our average cash rents. That's probably a lot to do with the desires of the landowners of those professionally managed farmland and a number of other factors as well. Just to give you a little background, in Illinois, 50% of the farmland is rented, and in Illinois has the largest rental percent in the U.S. Illinois, there's more land rented in Illinois than any other state. Just to give you a feel for those states around us, 45 in Indiana, 41 in Iowa, 37% in Ohio. Just to note, larger grain farms tend to rent more. This happens to be our larger, or our FBFM farms. These farms are typically, the average farm size here is 1,500 acres. You can see those 1,500 acres in northern Illinois, 19% of their land is owned. The rest is share rented and cash rented. 14% in central Illinois, 42% share rented, 44% cash rented, and then in southern Illinois, 22% owned. So you can see here, a lot of land is rented in Illinois, and a lot of it by farmers that tend to be larger, as you would sort of expect. My usual sermon, you should have a written lease. We have copies of these on FarmDoc. Many releases aren't, but if you want a written lease, they are available on FarmDoc. If you didn't do a written lease, if you don't have a written lease, the law would say that you would have to provide notification by October 31st to terminate a lease. And so if you wanted to do that and didn't have a written lease, you really should have done that by October 31. And in Illinois, most leases are 1-year leases. They don't vary a lot. We don't typically see a lot of long-term leases, and most people want the right to change the leasing arrangement from year to year to year. I personally would not recommend a very long lease, because we have a hard enough time saying what the outlook looks like next year. What it looks like 2 years from now is just hard to say, right? So just a little background again. Cash rent. Farmers pay, and here's what we see those overall from professionally managed land. Cash rent. Farmers pay landlord for a right to farm the land. Farmer receives all the revenues and pays all the expenses except the land cost. All right. We see share rent, sharing the revenue and direct cost. Typically in northern and central Illinois, that's a 50-50 share. 50% goes to the farmer, 50% to the landowner. We see some modifications to this share rental arrangement, and those typical modifications is an additional payment from the farmer to the landowner. And in northern and central Illinois, that's about 50%, or excuse me, $20 to $25. Southern Illinois, we see more 2/3, 1/3 leases, and some of the leases 2/3, 1/3, with the farmer paying all the seed cost. We see some variable cash rents, and I'll give you an example here. And that one has cash rents varying with crop revenue. And then we do see some custom farming, but not a lot. And in that case, the landowner pays for the field operations, but then pays all the direct cost and receives all the revenue. They're essentially, in that case, the landowner is the farmer, but someone else is performing the farming operations. This variable cash lease, we have examples of it on FarmDoc, and typically they have a base cash rent, and that's paid no matter what. Example would be $200 per acre, and you pay a higher cash rent if crop revenue plus MFPs and CFAPs exceed the base cash rent. And we see base rent factors of 33% for corn, 40% for soybeans. And typically you take the yields from the farm and the prices that average, for example, every Wednesday from agreed delivery point from spring to fall. Again, what we're likely seeing for cash rents coming up in 2021 is pretty stable cash rents. Maybe go up some, maybe go down some in specific cases, but not a lot of changes. And that would continue a string of years since 2016 where we've had stable cash rents. That's what I got to say on cash rents. Again, if you got questions or comments, I'll be more than willing to take them now. But if not, I'm going to do farmland prices. I got another poll. Let me poll closed. I shared their results. Stop sharing. All right, I got a new poll. What do you expect farmland prices to do in 2021? I'll give you my answer, but I want to hear yours. All right. We got 5 people that voted. All right. I'm going to end the poll. Here's what you all said. 1, things go down a lot. 2, things stay the same, go up some. All right, that's our crystal ball there. So we got some diversity of opinions here. Let me, and I'm going to stop sharing this. Did I share this? Can you see the results? There. I didn't. There. I'm sharing the results. Hopefully you can see that. Yeah. All right. Good. That's operator error that you didn't see that before. All right. Farmland prices. When we look at farmland prices, one thing to keep in mind is what's happened to interest rates. All right. Here's a 10-year constant maturity treasury rate. We use that a lot because it's a pretty liquid market, and it's been tracking things pretty well. If you're old enough, you remember this high. This is inflation. This is the 1980s, and this is inflation. And then since then, 10-year notes have been coming down. All interest rates have been coming down. And just when you think they can't get lower, so back here, they've been here. This is 2012. Since then, it's been around 2%, and everybody like me is saying they got to go up sometime. And here's what they happened this year. They're now down very low. In August, they were 0.65%. Right? That's what a 10-year note was. All right. That is, all right, so, and what has happened is that rates have come down, and that's pushing all asset prices higher. That's part of the reason why stock prices are going up. That's to a large extent why land prices have been falling, or excuse me, increasing and staying steady. Even though we've seen weaknesses on the side of cash rents, these things just keep coming down. I'm going to give you an example of what we look at. This is a capitalized value takes the cash rent divided by the 10-year constant maturity rate. And what this is a little capitalization formula. And what it says is that if farmland prices are above this capitalized value, you got an overvaluation case. If it's below that, you got an undervaluation case. You get really concerned about farmland prices when they're above it. It's sort of a signal that they're going to fall. Here's what farmland cash rents have done in Illinois. Again, we're relatively stable now. Here's farmland prices following cash rents pretty well. Now I'm going to show you that land value and the capitalized value. All right. That blue line is farmland prices, and this is the capitalized value. This was the 1980s. We saw prices well above capitalized values. They fell, and we had our little farmland crisis then. By the way, this looks really small compared to where we're at today. Here is, if we did this capitalized value, it's $23,000. Our farmland price is $7,300. Just to give you a feel with where prices, cash rents are at, this little model and isn't saying that farmland prices should be falling. If anything, they say that they should be increasing, but people really discount, or you get really concerned about the outlook for interest rates, inflation, etc. going in the future. So you have to take that with caution, but until interest rates go up, I would not be expecting any large movement in farmland price. Again, if you sold farmland today, are you going to invest it in the stock market, which is pretty high, or are you going to put it in any sort of interest-bearing asset? And you're going, those aren't doing too well. So there's where you're at. Again, very low interest rates beginning in 2008 may have been continuing into 2020. And until you can make the argument that interest rates are going to go up, you're probably looking, in my opinion, at farmland prices hanging in where they're at. Again, we've seen farmland prices really hold steady in here. Again, we've had cash rents, farmland returns that have been stable, but those interest rates have been coming down. So that's my story. Just to summarize here, our income outlook is reasonable for 2020, much better than what it was in the summer, and it looks to me like we'll have higher incomes in 2020 than we had in 2019. 2021, it depends on the yields and whether we get ad hoc payments. I don't know whether we continue ad hoc payments. Cash rents probably stable into 2021, and we'll wait and see what 2021 brings to say anything about 2022. And farmland prices are probably stable until we see something happens to interest rates. And, we keep thinking that interest rates will rise sometime. We haven't seen that yet. We're spending a lot of federal money. Maybe someday we'll have inflation, but we haven't seen that yet. So that's where we're at right now. That's the end of my prepared remarks. So if you've got questions, arguments, let me know. appreciate your time.
Thank you, Gary. Does anyone have any questions? If you're not comfortable unmuting and speaking, feel free to put them in the chat box. That was awesome. Thank you so much, Gary, though. Good information.
You either believe me or not, right? Most people argue with me some way. We're looking at a crystal ball, right? So doing the best we can with a cloudy crystal ball. It's been an interesting year.
Thanks for letting us join that, Gary. Bob Rohr, happy to see your name there.
Hi, Barb. Nice to see your name too.
Deb told me to tell you hi.
Oh, that's very nice. Very nice. I've got a quick question for Gary, and I guess you're looking into your crystal ball, and I'm thinking about the same thing, but we've got an election that is somewhat, well, perhaps behind us. And will that have any impact on some of the futurist information that you're talking about, especially when it comes to the government related supports?
Yeah, so I guess I was like the market. I was sort of glad to see that we still have divided government. That the stock market reacted pretty favorably to that because it's not likely that we're going to see large changes. I would suspect that we will continue to see federal aid. I don't see the Democrat administration wanting to cut that, but I suspect that more of it will be geared towards conservation programs moving forward, that we're going to see more of an emphasis on, climate change and those sorts of things. So agriculture likely has to get used to providing carbon credits and that sort of thing. And so that's I suspect that will be a bigger emphasis now moving forward.
Anyone else?
I have a question.
Go ahead, Cynthia.
It seems like everybody, or not everybody, but most people have farms that are made up of many acres. And I was just wondering, are there people you think that would like to rent a 5-acre parcel? Is that too
question.
small?
So, so you're thinking of somebody, so I suspect that there is, and location will matter a lot, right? So,
yeah, right.
So, and finding the right person will matter a lot. My guess,
Yes.
if you're looking at somebody of 5 acres, you're looking at somebody that wants to do,
Specialty.
vegetable farming, and there are people out there that want to do that.
Yes, I see. You know what? We have bees here too.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking that maybe I, looked up some conservation programs and they sound really neat. I got a write-off on, not a write-off, I got a sign-off on one of them for next year.
Yep.
To construe a pollinator area.
Yep.
So, but the location I'm thinking is good because it's right off of I-90.
Yeah. So, you're going to have to find the right person.
Yeah. You know what? That's so true because we've had this land for 22 years and the owner doesn't want to rent it out. But I see things, moving really fast. So I thought maybe in the future.
If I were you, you know, that pollinator program is probably not a bad thing either. Rather than
Oh
more,
no.
more
Are you
mat-
kidding?
Yeah,
I'm so excited about it.
yeah. You'll get some. You won't. You'll have less maintenance, and you'll be doing
Oh,
some environmental good and providing.
yeah, a lot. Because I don't know if you got, well, I'm sure you guys know that, the population is going down and it
Mhm.
goes down and down each year, like farther down. So that's really sad because they make up a lot of what we eat.
Yeah, no. Now, if you got 5 acres and you don't want to put it in some sort of prairie uh, pollinator, that would be a good thing. It'll be good for everybody. So
Yeah, I think so too. I think so too. That's a good thought to think about in the future and like right now,
yeah,
because it just seems like everything's growing up around here, and the taxes aren't really great. So I'm busy with those, fighting those.
yeah,
But I think the pollinator idea, like you suggested, and I'm like really good size of the parcel would be excellent.
yep.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Hmm.
Yeah. Looking forward to next year when we can start it with the USDA.
Everybody's looking forward to next year. It's got to be better
Yeah,
than 2020,
I
right?
know, right? I know.
Yeah.
Okay, any other questions for Gary? Well, thank you so much for that information and for your time and spending it with our members here today, Gary. It was great information. I definitely learned something here today. I'm sure everyone else did as well. I will forward your PowerPoint to the participants tomorrow with an email. And again, thank you so much for your time and expertise and for being here for our members. We greatly appreciate it. And
No
for
problem.
everyone who zoomed in, thank you so much for your time.
Yep.
We look forward to your feedback.
All right.
Thank
All right.
you.
See y'all
Thank
later.
you.
Have a
I
good
appreciate
evening.
it.
Thanks,
Bye-bye.
everyone. Great
Bye-bye.
seeing you.
You too.
Yeah, good to see you. Me and
Great
my
to see you,
posse. They said
Brenda.
what?
Great to see you, Brenda.
Yes, great to see you. And you stay safe down there.
Oh, we will. You too.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
Bye, thank you.
Yep. Bye-bye.
All right, appreciate it, Gary.
Mhm.
Thanks so much. Bye, Mike.